6 years off. She'll be here to talk about her new memoir, why it was important to take that break, and how it led to her career starring in Saturday Night Live.
I don't know about that.
That's coming up on Q, followed by Commotion with Elamine Abdel Mahmoud on CBC Radio 1 and on the Listen app. The CBC News is next. Coming up in half an hour, it's The Current with Matt Galloway. Many Canadians have gone to Ukraine as volunteers to help people hit by the war. Guillaume Vermette's mission there is unusual, though. He's working as a humanitarian clown, bringing smiles to Ukrainians. That's coming up on The Current.
This is World Report. Good morning from CBC News. I'm Marcia Young. Balraj Nejjar says he is relieved Canadians know his father's murder may have involved the Indian government.
It's finally coming to the public eyes that it's not like a dispute within the community.
Nejjar says he believes his father was killed for being a Sikh separatist, and he says now that the federal government has alleged Indian agents were involved, it must act.
Well, hopefully we can take this a step further and get specific individuals, maybe place sanctions, whatever the next steps are. We're waiting on the family to see where it is.
As Yvette Brand reports, the accusation has sent shockwaves through Sikh and Indian communities across Canada.
I know many Canadians, particularly members of the Indo-Canadian community, are feeling angry or perhaps frightened right now.
Prime Minister Justin Trudeau says he believes agents of the Indian government carried out the killing of a Canadian on Canadian soil. He says information came from unnamed national security agencies. 3 months ago, Hardeep Singh Nijjar, a man that India labeled a terrorist, was shot in the parking lot of his Surrey Gurdwara, a Sikh meeting place. Gurdwara Council Rep Mohammed Singh.
This acknowledgement by Canada is the first of its kind that this type of interference has led to a murder or an assassination of a Sikh political leader in our country.
Former BC Premier Ujjal Dosanjh survived a brutal beating after speaking out against Sikh extremism in the 80s. He says he's no fan of the idea of a separate Sikh state called Khalistan in India. Despite that, he says the idea of people using violence to fight it makes him sick to his stomach.
I don't believe in dismembering countries based on religion. We did that once in India and we lost millions of people. There was bloodshed. It's their right to ask for it. If they want to have a separate state in India, they're free to ask. But violence is where I draw the line.
He says India's adherence to democratic principles like the rule of law is critical. Yvette Brand, CBC News, Vancouver. India is dismissing the allegations its government was involved in Nejjar's murder. Now that Canada has kicked out one of its diplomats, the Indian government is doing the same. Let's bring in our South Asia correspondent, Salima Shivji in Mumbai. Salima, what's the latest there?
Marcia, as Indians here awoke to the news, the reaction from New Delhi is swift. Canada's High Commissioner to India, Cameron McKay, was summoned to India's External Affairs Ministry and bluntly told an unnamed senior Canadian diplomat is being kicked out of India with 5 days to pack up and leave. A move in direct retaliation to Canada expelling Pavan Kumar Rai, the Ottawa station head of New Delhi's Foreign Intelligence Agency. The summons came with a warning. The ministry said it has growing concerns that Canadian diplomats are interfering in internal matters here and participating in anti-India activities. In another strongly worded statement released earlier today, India flatly rejected the accusations from Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau. India called the allegations absurd and politically motivated. The statement repeats what's often heard from the Indian side, a condemnation of Canadian officials for sheltering and ignoring what the Indian government calls Khalistani terrorists and extremists in Canada. A very terse response as expected from the Indian government, and further proof the bilateral relations between the two countries have reached a new low, Marcia.
Thank you, Salima. The CBC's Salima Shivji with the latest in Mumbai. At the United Nations headquarters in New York, Presidents Joe Biden and Volodymyr Zelensky are among the world leaders who will address the assembly later today. It's the start of the annual high-level general debate. As Chris Reyes reports, there is a full agenda of critical issues.
Action is what the world needs now.
UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres will set the tone for this week's gathering as he welcomes world leaders to collaborate on solutions to the world's biggest challenges.
From the worsening climate emergency to escalating conflicts, the global cost of living crisis, soaring inequalities and dramatic technological disruptions. And people are looking to their leaders for a way out of this mess.
As the leader of the host country, U.S. President Joe Biden is at the top of the speakers list. Later in the afternoon, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky will address the chamber, his first in-person speech at the UN since Russia launched a war in his country. Canada will be in attendance but won't speak until later this week. Canada's ambassador to the UN, Bob Ray, says he wants leaders to come together to give hope to people in the face of such daunting challenges.
So the key thing is to stay focused on the pragmatic, the possible, the doable, the steps we can make to go forward.
One of the biggest meetings on the agenda this week, President Zelensky will address the Security Council meeting, where Russia has a permanent seat. Push Reyes, CBC News, New York.
Cheers from family as 5 Americans step off a plane at a Washington area military base. They arrived early this morning after being in prison in Iran for years. The group is part of a prisoner swap between Washington and Tehran. Some of the Iranians released by the U.S. yesterday are also back home in Iran. The deal saw previously frozen funds of oil money turned over to Iran. This is the first major prisoner exchange between the adversaries in almost a decade. Russell Brand will no longer make money from YouTube. The video streaming site says Brand's account has been suspended over, quote, serious allegations against the creator. Several women have accused the British comedian turned influencer of sexual assault. Brand's main account has more than 6.6 million subscribers. Brand denies the allegations. Parts of Australia are facing an unusual spring heat wave. Temperatures in the southeast are reaching the mid-30s. That is twice as high as September's average. Miriam Bradbury is with the Australian Bureau of Meteorology. She says prolonged heat like this is rare.
We do often see a couple of hot days starting to come through during September, but the fact that we've seen so many hot days in a row hanging around for 7-8 days across New South Wales and Victoria is quite unusual.
The heat is raising the threat of wildfires. Ford and the union representing their Canadian auto workers have agreed to keep talking. Unifor had given the company a midnight deadline last night, but the union agreed to push negotiations beyond that after getting what it calls a substantive last...
Hello everyone. Now this video about streets of London. We are now in outside the city, on the countryside of London. We are now at Mount Bridges, and we are going toward Homoka before London. So all this it is, you know, about 30 kilometers away from London. So we are now on our way to London. Today is very good day, sunny, no clouds, no rain. It's a little chilly, but it's a very nice day. Today is September 19, 2023. is very nice, as you see, especially on highways. Inside the city is not like perfect like outside the city, because you know in the city we are driving maximum 60, but outside